Hello, how are you? Today, I want to share my story about how I dropped 15 pounds and hit 10% body fat in 3 months. I started my journey in March of 2025, and by the end of May 2025, I reached my goal. It was a really hard journey. I was eating around 12 to 1500 calories a day, which was probably at least a 600 calorie deficit. I learned a lot of things about weight loss that I'd like to share with you. I like to intersect psychology into everything I do, so I'll try my best to explain some of the key ideas of mentality that led to my success. The first thing I want to mention is purpose. I had a very clear purpose on why I wanted to lose weight. For me, it was to increase my climbing performance. If I lost weight, then my fingers wouldn't need to carry as much load. I wanted to do this because I was plateauing in my progression with climbing, so I wanted to try anything to improve my performance. At this point, I've been climbing for nearly 3 years straight, and I want to keep up my momentum at all costs. Having this clear purpose let me kind of anchor all of my actions and thoughts towards this goal. Anytime I felt unmotivated or discouraged, I'd remind myself of this main purpose, which helped keep me on track. So I'd ask, what's your purpose in your weight loss journey? Is it to improve health? Is it to look good? Is it for self-improvement? Is it to live a long and healthy life for your children? Ask yourself why your reason for weight loss is important to you. Keep that purpose close to your heart and draw on it whenever you need it. The next thing I want to talk about is super important. One of the greatest insights I learned from weight loss is the concept of hyper-awareness. I became hyper-aware of a lot of thoughts and feelings that I had during my diet. This ties in with the idea of metacognition, where you're aware of the thoughts that come from your emotions and physical sensations, which I did cover in another video. I'll link that below if you want to see it. The first thing I learned from hyper-awareness in dieting is that there's a difference between physical hunger and taste hunger. Physical hunger is your body or stomach telling you that you need to eat food for fuel. Like when your stomach growls and you could eat anything, am I right? Taste hunger, on the other hand, is when you have cravings for certain flavors or textures. Even after you eat a huge meal, a lot of the time, you still have room for dessert, right? This is because after a hearty meal, it's common to crave something sweet. Taste hunger is psychological in nature. It's linked to feelings like comfort, pleasure, boredom, instead of the need for nutrients or fuel. This is dangerous because certain foods, especially sugary ones, can develop into serious addictions. I still struggle with these cravings every single day. Every time I go for a walk, I see ads and displays of sweets and ultra-processed foods. In today's world, these temptations are everywhere. Taste hunger makes overeating incredibly easy. Even healthy alternatives like protein bars, protein brownies, protein chips, sugar-free sweets, all these cater to that taste hunger and they add calories. If you feel hungry, ask yourself, which type of hunger is it? By bringing awareness to this, you're less likely to act based on instinct and just reach for that cookie. If you really want to speed up your weight loss, you can also bring awareness to even your physical hunger and eat even less food. I don't recommend doing this though because it's not sustainable and you'll have very low energy levels and even lose muscle mass. I remember I would nearly collapse from 15-minute walks outside because my body just didn't have enough calories. I started eating a banana before my walks just to fuel them. Another thing I'll mention about hyper-awareness and dieting is that you can use it for when you do eat delicious food or sweets. This can happen when you want to have a cheat meal, when you eat out with friends, or you just need a pick-me-up. What I would do is If I had a cheat meal or a yummy snack, I brought awareness to the fact that my brain is gonna give me a shit ton of dopamine for eating that food, and that it's gonna tell me aggressively to eat it non-stop. This actually helped me manage overeating and rebounding on my diet. Believe it or not, I was actually able to only eat one cookie from that cookie jar, even when I was starving. And it's okay to fully enjoy it. Just be aware of it.
We got the Lindt cream and gelada. It's been so long. Here we go. I love this thing.
Okay, but now you're probably asking, but Daniel, does this mean I have to fight my intense cravings every day? I'm sure many of you have tried fighting these cravings, and I definitely understand how freaking hard that is, especially when you need to do it for months or years. On top of what I mentioned earlier about drawing inspiration from my purpose, there are a few techniques I want to share that help me stay consistent. The first technique I use to help me diet is celebrating small wins. I have another video that goes over this as well, which I'll link below. Basically, when it comes to being consistent with anything, you need to ensure that you're properly rewarding yourself on every accomplishment, no matter how small. By tapping into your reward system, you're reinforcing the behaviors that will allow you to continue to lose weight. What I did was, whenever I weighed myself and I hit a new record, I would really let that get to my head. I would tell myself that I'm a god or I'm a demon. I really gassed myself up. And while this might sound kind of strange, it's incredibly important because it gives you so much encouragement and positive reinforcement to continue. If you can, try to really use your ego to your advantage and celebrate every small win. Just be a little careful with this one. You don't want to lose yourself. If you have a healthy support circle, you can also share your wins with your friends and let them celebrate with you. The second technique I use to help with dieting is to have an internal mantra. This is something that you can tell yourself, or maybe a memory that will give you a boost of inspiration. For me, there were moments of weakness where I wanted to give up or just give in to my cravings. During these moments, I would tap into my mantra. Whenever I would have cravings, I'm not even kidding, I would scream, "Ah! Demon mode! I'm a demon!" In a weird way, this actually kind of helped, and it gave me inspiration and perseverance through these moments. And I believe it's due to the way your physiological senses are connected with your cognitive senses. For example, if you're stressed or panicked, one technique for this is to breathe slowly. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which promotes relaxation. I was essentially doing the opposite. When I was just sitting at home and I would have cravings, I would try to activate my sympathetic nervous system, or my fight or flight response, by screaming or hyping myself up. If you have a fitness background, you might understand this weird feeling of psyching yourself up when you're going in for a hard set. So find your mantra and tap into that inspiration. The last technique I want to mention that helped me stay consistent with dieting is self-compassion. Dieting is hard, and you can't win every battle. If you have an off day, like overeating when you know you shouldn't have, this is a pivotal moment. In this kind of moment, many people will beat themselves up and be filled with thoughts that they're not good enough or that they're not cut out for dieting. The important thing here is to be aware of these thoughts. Be aware that these negative feelings come from circumstances beyond your control. This helps to manage these feelings, and you should be proud that you even noticed these feelings in the first place. Then you can start to think more realistic thoughts like, Everyone has an off day. Nobody is perfect and life just happens. For the last part of this video, I want to go over some general tips of things that I did that helped with dieting, as well as some other insights that I learned. First off, it gets easier to diet over time. The first few weeks were hell for me, trying to fight off cravings and not having my usual snacks and my usual meal portions. But then, as time went on, it actually became easier because my body was adjusting to this new normal. If you're struggling with starting to diet, just know that it won't be like that forever, and it does get easier over time. Another thing I did that helped me with dieting is that I avoided snacking between meals. Intuitively, you would think that even some healthy snacking would help manage hunger, but I found that this actually had the opposite effect. This is because I found myself the most hungry right after eating something. Because I was eating at a 600 calorie deficit, my body would send intense hunger signals right after I finished my meal because I wasn't full. But after 1 to 2 hours, the hunger would be less intense. So by avoiding snacking, there were actually less opportunities for me to really crave eating. Another thing I did was I tried to keep myself distracted to help manage cravings. The worst times were when I was really bored and all I could think about was eating. I'm a gamer, so playing video games helped me a lot with distracting myself. I could play games for hours and not feel any hunger. Some of you probably know this feeling too. By being in a flow state, whether that's video games or watching a really good movie or reading a really good book, this helps a lot with managing hunger. One really important insight I learned is that losing weight is not the only benefit of dieting. There's also a hidden mental benefit that you gain as well. And that benefit is the training and development of your frontal lobe. The frontal lobe, which is located in the front of your brain, is kind of like the central control system. It's responsible for higher level thinking, decision making, planning, and controlling your emotions. By consistently being aware of my hunger and emotions, I actually strengthened my frontal lobe. And this expanded into other aspects of my life. I was able to control my emotions better. I was able to think more clearly and more logically. And I'm more aware of myself and what I want to do. All these things are beneficial beyond losing weight. So just know that when you're feeling struggle, like fighting cravings or choosing to eat something healthier, you're actually strengthening this part of the brain, which ultimately gives you better control over all aspects of your life. So that's about it. Those are all the strategies I used and all the tips I have for how I got down to 10% body fat. Just remember that dieting isn't just about weight loss. It's also training your mental capacity. Even if you don't hit your goal or you end up at your starting point again, you actually gain very valuable experience by simply attempting or trying. You learned what works, what didn't work. You felt struggle, and you had internal growth. But most importantly, you learned something about yourself. So I wish you the best in your fitness journey. You're doing amazing. I'd love to hear how it's going for you. Let me know what you're struggling with, or share a small win you had so I can celebrate with you. You got this, my friend. I hope this video was useful to you in some way, and I'll see you later. Peace.